All right, let's talk about something a lot of people, particularly those who wear trendy Che Guevara t-shirts, find cool. In reality, Che Guevara was a douche and a coward. He surrendered to soldiers in Bolivia screaming, "Don't shoot me! I'm worth much more to you alive than dead." The human cost of trying to build a communist utopia. Because, spoiler alert, it gets real ugly real fast. We're talking about a level of human misery that's frankly difficult to comprehend. But buckle up, because over the next few minutes, we're going to take a long, hard, and deeply unpleasant look at the grim reality of communism in the 20th century. Cambodia, a nation known for its beautiful temples and tragic history. From 1975 to 1979, under the Khmer Rouge regime led by Pol Pot, an estimated 1.7 million people were systematically murdered. Government employees, soldiers, police, foreign language speakers, international travelers, and even people who wore glasses because they could likely read. This included entire families, yes, children too. Families were torn apart, forced labor camps became the norm, and mass executions and mass graves via machetes were commonplace. This wasn't ancient history, folks, this was 40 years ago. Next, we go to the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, more commonly known as North Korea. Now, you don't need me to tell you that North Korea isn't exactly winning any Best Places to Live awards. This is a nation ruled by fear and propaganda, where dissent is met with brutal repression. Since 1948, under the Kim dynasty, an estimated 2 million people have died from starvation, torture, and execution. 2 million. Let that sink in for a moment. Chapter 3, Vietnam, a war, a divided nation, and more bloodshed. Moving on to Vietnam, a country forever scarred by war. From 1953 to 1975, under Ho Chi Minh and subsequent leaders, an estimated 3 million people lost their lives. We're talking about forced collectivization of farms leading to mass starvation, political purges that silenced any opposition, and the horrors of the Vietnam War itself. This wasn't just a war for independence. It was a brutal ideological struggle that claimed millions of innocent lives. Chapter 4. The Soviet Union, a utopia built on bones. And then there's the big one. The Soviet Union, under the iron fist of Joseph Stalin, an estimated 20 million people perished between 1922 and 1953. Keep in mind, these are numbers from the Russian authorities today. It is likely that the real number of dead is much higher. We're talking about forced labor camps in Siberia, where millions died from starvation, disease, torture, and overwork. We're talking about the Holodomor, a man-made famine in Ukraine that killed millions more. Chapter 5, finally we come to China. China's great leap forward, a giant leap backward for humanity. Under Mao Zedong's great leap forward, an estimated 45 million people died from starvation between 1949 and 1976. Let me repeat that, 45 million. Many Chinese historians who escaped from China say the number is closer to 60 million, and others have gone as high as 75 million in total over the course of Chinese communism. This wasn't a natural disaster. It was a man-made catastrophe of epic proportions, fueled by misguided policies and a ruthless disregard for human life. The price of utopia. These are just a handful of examples of the human cost of communism in the 20th century. These weren't just statistics, they were human beings with families, dreams, and aspirations. Communism did not discriminate. It infected and slaughtered all races and cultures globally. This is what we're fighting against. This is the reality that those Che Guevara t-shirts are glorifying. And for those of you who believe in the Marxist concept of a utopian society, do you still want to be a communist, comrade?